Hi, kindergartners. Today we're going to be reading this very large story called Happy Birthday, Martin Luther King, because as you know, on Monday, January 18th, we are celebrating Martin Luther King Day and we will not have school. So it's important we learn about how he was a helper in our community. Bear with me as this book is old and big. Martin Luther King was born on January 15, 1929, in Atlanta, Georgia. His parents loved him very much. Martin Luther King had the same name as his father, except for one thing. His father was called Martin Luther King Sr., and Martin was called Martin Luther King Jr. Martin went to an elementary school, a high school, and to college in Atlanta. He was a good student. Later, he went to divinity school in Pennsylvania. Martin became a pastor, just like his dad, at the Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta. They were both called Reverend, the Reverend Martin Luther King Sr. and the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. Martin's job as a minister was to help people in need. We found out one way he was a helper in the community. He visited sick people in the hospital and he would make them feel better. He asked people not to fight with each other. He said that they were peaceful ways to solve problems. Remember, we talked a little bit about how he used his words to remind people how to be helpful. He didn't use his fists or anger, he used his words. And like his father, Martin led people in prayer and song. The Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. is famous because he helped our country change some of its laws. A law is like a rule. Once there was a law in some places that said only white people could sit in the front of the bus and that black people had to sit in the back, and that's not fair. Martin Luther King said that this law needed to be changed. Rosa Parks and other people helped him change that. Now, all people can sit in an empty seat that they like. Once there were laws in some places that said that African Americans could only use certain restaurants and drinking fountains. Martin Luther King and many other people helped change these laws. Now all people can share the same restaurants and drinking fountains. So again, this is how he was a helper in our community. Once there was a law in some places that said that black children and white children couldn't go to school together. Martin Luther King and other people, including many brave children, had this law changed too. Now black children and white children can go to school together. Martin Luther King had a special talent for leadership. When he spoke, people listened. Poor people, rich people, white people, black people, and people from all around the world listened when Martin Luther King spoke. Many helped him work, march, sing, and pray for justice. So again, not using violence, but using their words. In the summer of 1963, Martin Luther King Jr. gave the most famous speech of his life. He gave it outdoors to 250,000 people who had come to Washington, D.C. to ask the president for jobs and freedom for black people. In his speech, Martin Luther King said that he had a dream. His dream was that people would learn to live together without being mean to one another. Martin wanted people to be able to go to places together, to share food together, and love one another in peace. Because he worked so hard for freedom and helped so many people gain it, we honor him every year on his special day. We call this day Martin Luther King Day, and we say to him, "Happy birthday, Martin Luther King." So I hope you enjoyed the story, and I hope it helped you learn a little bit about how Martin Luther King Jr. helped our community. And now I want you to think about how you can be a helper in our community. How can you help spread kindness to our world? It could be in the classroom, it could be at home with your families, it could be anywhere in the world. So we're going to be talking about that in our group meeting, our second group meeting, and we will need our blue notebooks so that we can share our thinking and draw a picture. So I will see you then. Bye, friends.